I know that the Democrats are trying their best to block some of the funding for Department of Homeland Security, which is very interesting because, again, if you're trying to impede the Department of Homeland Security, which is trying to get illegal people back to their country of origin, what are you doing? Really, truly, what are you doing?
Development Subcommittee, Mr. Clyburn.
Gentleman from South Carolina is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I thank the gentlelady for yielding me the time. Madam Chair, I rise as ranking member of the Transportation and Housing Appropriations Subcommittee in strong support of this bipartisan legislation, in large measure because it freezes funding for the Department of Homeland Security at its current level, while allowing for several days, 10 to be exact, for us to continue to zero in on that segment of the legislation and hopefully reach a bipartisan agreement. But we have already reached bipartisan agreements on 5 other sections. And one of those in this bill includes $113 billion in discretionary spending for transportation and housing programs and reflects a renewed commitment to addressing the affordability crisis and improving the safety of our transportation systems.
$113 billion in discretionary spending? For who?
For housing, the bill prevents the eviction of more than 4 million low-income households served through HUD's rental assistance programs, including those currently served by Section 8 and public housing.
Who are we talking about? How many illegal immigrants do we have over here? We have well more than 10 million. 2 million roughly left. So it's like 8 million roughly. And close to like 4 million of those may possibly be on HUD assistance that are getting removed, by the way. But you want more money? You're in transportation and you're talking.
The bill reinforces efforts to combat homelessness by increasing funding for homeless assistance grants by $366 million.
Okay. Homelessness assistance grants. So that's free money from the federal government that can go unchecked. Over $300 million, y'all. Who's got a 501c3? I'm just saying. Get one and help someone.
It protects investments for mayors and governors by providing $3.3 billion for the popular Community Development Block Grants Program. And it includes $58 million for housing counseling assistance for renters and first-time homebuyers, and
housing counseling assistance. So you're putting billions and millions of dollars aside for somebody to sit and talk to somebody about their housing assistance that they need. The grifting. It's outstanding. Just saying.
$8 million to continue legal aid for eviction assistance. For transportation, the bill invests in the safety of the flying public by increasing FAA operations by nearly $230 million, enabling the hiring of 2,500 new air traffic controllers. It increases funding for the air traffic control towers and facilities by 26% above fiscal year 2025. The bill also protects investments for continuing Amtrak service along the Northeast Corridor and National Network by providing $2.4 billion. And the bill also includes $100 million for the 2026 World Cup and $94 million for the 2028 Olympics to help transit agencies manage local transportation in support of games across the country. Madam Chair, this year's transportation and housing bill will provide greater economic certainty to communities across the country and improve the day-to-day lives of everyday people. I urge my colleagues to support this legislation. Now yield back the balance of my.
It's amazing to me how they can sit there. We want so many hundreds of millions of dollars and so many billions of dollars. Who is this money going to? Homelessness is worse. We have a mental health crisis within that homelessness crisis. We have families that can't even afford rent, least of all a home. And you are still asking for millions and billions of dollars. For what? It's almost like going to the doctor and you're getting constant treatment and there's no cure. Clyburn needs to be dethroned in South Carolina. I don't know who's running, but you need to get him up out of there today. I'm just saying. I mean, individuals like him, he should never be in office. Ever. Ever. Just a complete leech on the system. Because his state in particular, let's just talk about South Carolina, not doing well. Not doing well. But his pockets are lined. I'm sure his friends are doing well. Yeah, because that's what they do. It's really sad. So it's not a full government shutdown. It's a partial shutdown. That's why you don't see people running around acting too crazy, right? It began on the 31st, so last week, right? And it has, after a continuing resolution expired on the 30th, has ended. Now, Congress passed and President Donald Trump signed a major funding package, right? The Consolidated Appropriations Act, referenced as HR 7148, on February 3rd, reopening affected federal agencies. Okay. So I kind of just went through a timeline. Let's fast forward. Now, here's the current status. Most of the federal government is now funded through September 30th, 2026. Now, DHS is on a short-term continuing resolution only. And this is what Clyburn mentioned in his speech, where he was like, yeah, we want to ask for all these other monies, right? Okay, so this sets up a potential new funding cliff and negotiations over restrictions on DHS ICE activities, with Democrats pushing for changes and Republicans, including Trump administration influence, resisting. Now, no active full government shutdown exists right now. The recent partial one is resolved. So that's a good thing. So things are still moving down the track. And now it says the YouTube link you shared appears to be a new clip or discussion on the shutdown developments. Now, what I wanted to ask, okay, how will this affect? Oops, sorry, I got capitals on. How will Okay. I thought I already had this up, you guys. I'm sorry. I thought I had this part done. But as we wait. But yeah, I just want to know how it does affect ICE, because there have been members of Congress, especially in the House, calling for defunding ICE. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Okay, just come out and say it. We want all illegal activity here. We want all the illegals here so they can vote for us, and we're going to get them all the free stuff, and they're just going to live off the backs of the taxpayers, and we're going to allow all the fraud that's going on all around the country. We're just going to continue to let it happen. A lot of people keep bringing up, what if Harris would have won? Where would we be right now? We wouldn't be where we're at right now. First of all, we wouldn't know about Minnesota, Ohio, Maine, Seattle, Washington. What was the other state? I think it happened in Pennsylvania. I mean, it's just wild. And those are the states that we know a little bit about, California, but it's happening everywhere. The fraud is happening everywhere, especially these home health services. Just horrible. Absolutely horrible. Now, the recent funding package signed on February 3rd provides full year funding through September 30th, 2026 for most federal agencies, but it only extends a short-term continuing resolution for the Department of Homeland Security until February 13th. So that'll be sometime next week. This setup creates a potential funding cliff for DHS driven by ongoing congressional disputes over reforms to immigration and customs enforcement policies, particularly around accountability for immigrant enforcement actions following high-profile incidents like the fatal shooting by federal agents. Problem, we're not mentioning these agencies and these NGOs that actually interfered with the work of ICE agents. Had they not done that, we would not be here right now. Now, people may disagree with me when I say that, but we wouldn't be here right now. And there would be people alive today. You keep calling these people Nazis and Gestapos, and they're disappearing people when they're not. They're doing their job. And you've got all these people in this whole complete lather to the point where somebody just saw the video I showed. She's like, why are you trying to demonize me? My boss is in the chat. Government officials are in the chat. What? So she feels emboldened to continue to call for illegal behavior. Like, we are in a sick place in our country. We can disagree on a lot of things, but when one side is literally advocating for illegal activity, there's a problem. That's a problem. Completely. Period. Stop it. Now, short-term stability until February 13th, DHS operations continue at current levels under the continuing resolution, meaning no immediate disruptions to services like border security, disaster response, or airport screening. So those things are going to continue, right? Now, risk of partial shutdown. If Congress fails to pass a full year DHS appropriations bill or another extension by February 13th, funding could lapse, leading to partial shutdown affecting about 240,000 DHS employees. Essential personnel in cybersecurity and active disaster response would continue working without pay, while non-essential functions could halt with furloughs for many workers. This would impact sub-agencies beyond ICE, and that would include TSA, right? Potential delays at the airports, and we saw that before. Federal FEMA, right? There would be delays with non-urgent disasters. The U.S. Coast Guard. Okay. Now, negotiations and politics. Democrats are demanding reforms such as limits on ICE detention expansions. That means you don't want them getting people and deporting them. Y'all are wild. Warrant requirements for home entries and oversight on use of force policies, as outlined in a list of 10 specific demands. Republicans, including House Speaker Mike Johnson, are resisting viewing these as attempts to weaken enforcement, and it completely would. And some suggest a year-long continuing resolution without changes. A deal seems unlikely before the deadline, increasing shutdown odds, though back pay for affected workers is typically provided post-resolution. Now, effects on ICE specifically, limited immediate impact. Unlike DHS components, ICE and Customs and Border Protection would face minimal, let me say that again, minimal disruptions, even in a shutdown scenario. So all the stuff that you're shouting about is not going to stop. Not going to stop the show. You're not stopping the show. Grandstanding beautifully, not stopping the show. Okay? This is because ICE received a massive $75 billion supplemental infusion over the next decade from the 2025 One Big Beautiful Bill Act, in addition to its base annual budget of around $10 billion. So they got $85 billion in the bank. You're not stopping anything, okay? This funding supports ongoing enforcement detention, aiming for 100,000 daily